morning and welcome to The Point. It is Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. Thank you to those of you joining us on the GBN Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page, the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, the website www.gbn.gd, GBN TV channel 7, 11 and 20, the listeners of Classic 105.5, 105.9, and the viewers on Party Grenada and Go to FET Facebook pages and Party Grenada's website. Good morning to each and every one of you for joining us this morning. I have joining us as our virtual guest is the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Francis Martin. It's been a while since we've had him on the program, and we welcome him back this morning once again. Good morning, Doc. How you do?
I'm well. Thank you very much for having me back, and thanks to the listening public who are here with us.
Always a pleasure to have you. I know you always come with a wealth of information, so it's always a pleasure. So let's get right into it. The hottest thing on the press these days is vaccine. What's the latest you can tell us about government's vaccination program? Last number that I heard was just over 8,000 people vaccinated with the first dose this morning. Just give us a brief update.
Right. The vaccination program is continuing. We are probably close to 9,000 at the moment. The numbers that was done yesterday, I am not aware of those numbers yet. I suppose it will come in due course. The points of access for the vaccine have also increased. Persons can now access vaccines at all of the health centers and some medical stations. The sites are up and running. Radisson, the mall in St. George's. The request for vaccinations from entities and corporations and workplaces are also increasing. We have been able to go out to a few workplaces, NIS being one of those, to give vaccination. The public education program is ongoing as well and will be ramped up from today, actually from yesterday. I myself have a couple education program scheduled for me over the next few days. So it's a matter of continuing the education, encouraging people to go ahead and get the vaccines done so that we can reach our magic number as quickly as we can so that we can start the process of returning our lives to normal.
And what's that magic number?
It's approximately 68,000, but I like 70,000. I just love that number.
Okay, round it off to the nearest 10. Okay, fair enough. And that's for the first dose or the second dose? The magic number is the both doses or just...
Yes, both doses, yeah.
All right. There continues to be... Actually, no, before we get into AstraZeneca specifically, can you give us an update on the two latest cases that were confirmed over the weekend? I believe one from the U.S. and one from Jamaica, as well as the two that came in from the U.S., was it 2 weeks ago, and we sent the samples to CARFA to see if it's one of the latest variants. Any update on that one as well?
Right. So far, our reports are that it is not the variant. So far, we are continuing to check. The cases, thankfully, are again mild or asymptomatic. They're all imported. And they are, resting quietly in quarantine. And we are going to do as we do best, which is monitor them, test them, clear them, and hopefully no complications from that. But as far as we know, and as far as this morning, they're still very stable with no real serious problems that we observe.
And the two... yes, you just give us that update. Right, let's get to AstraZeneca now. There continues to be concerns about, for lack of a better word, the safety of AstraZeneca and the concerns.
Right.
The concerns in some of the European countries, and I think the closest to us that has suspended its use is Martinique, even though it's a part, or it goes off of the instructions from France. But the concerns for AstraZeneca, do we share those concerns?
I think... I don't share those concerns, but I can understand why the actions that have been taken were taken, because those are the actions that are necessary and should be taken whenever something like that happens. Listen, blood clots are going to be formed in people whether there's AstraZeneca vaccine around or not. Even if there was no vaccinations, people are going to get blood clots. We expect a certain number of persons in a country to get a blood clot at any point in time. because someone gets a blood clot and there was a vaccine involved, there is no way to say that it is the vaccine that is causing the blood clot. It may be a situation where just coincidentally, the person who took the vaccine happens to have a blood clot. And I think this is what the study is actually going to show. Because again, let me repeat, blood clots were there before the vaccine came, and blood clots will continue to be there after the vaccine comes and is given. There are risk factors in people for forming blood clots, and the risk factors may not have to do anything with the vaccine at all. The risk factors may have to do with the person's nutritional status, whether the person has cancer or not, whether the person is a smoker, whether the person is on oral contraceptive pills, whether that person has a heart condition that leads to blood clots being formed, or a plethora of things can cause someone to develop a blood clot. Someone may have a surgery, and as a result of this, a complication of the surgery, they may have a blood clot. It just so happened that that person took a vaccine as well. But because of the mechanism that is in place to make sure and to look to ensure that the vaccine is not the absolute cause, the process of investigation must happen. There is a mechanism in countries that looks at side effects of vaccines. And I believe as the study goes on and the result comes out, we'll better be able to tell what really has been the cause of the blood clots. So I have really no serious concern. My colleagues and partners in this part of the world also have no very serious concern about it. But as we say, due diligence must happen, and you have to investigate to make sure that what we're saying is correct.
But even if that may be so in terms of what can cause the blood clot, from the reports coming out of the countries who have suspended its use, it's only AstraZeneca that they're suspending use of. We're not hearing the same reports. Well, at least I have not heard the same report of Pfizer, Moderna, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, only AstraZeneca. So that I think is what's causing me to...
Yeah, well, no, not really, you know. I mean, there have been untoward events in the other vaccines as well. It's just that, I mean, sometimes the way we get our news and the kind of areas that we look at, you know, but there has been events with Pfizer and other places that are about, but they're very insignificant and it's not making the headlines, if you want to put it that way. And they're actually going through the same process of investigating to make sure that what they're saying that is not a direct cause of the vaccine, or that the vaccine didn't predispose it to predispose people to the formation of blood clots.
Okay. With the way that we've been rolling out the vaccination program, I recall in the early days there were concerns or talks about the response of people, or people coming to get the vaccine were a bit slow, but now we're up to almost 9,000. Is it that more people are coming forward, or the earlier reports weren't accurate, or are you satisfied with the turnout so far?
My reaction to the turnout has been a seesaw, so to speak. When we started the vaccination, we started with frontline workers. I expected more frontline workers to come on board because, of course, my belief was that the frontline workers understand the science and that they were doing the appropriate reading to be able to inform themselves. I wasn't satisfied with the onset of how it came on. That made me a little nervous as to whether or not that same fear was going to be transitioned on to the general public. But as we started vaccination at the Radisson, I was completely blown away by the response that we got within the first few days, in the sense that we actually overwhelmed the first day at the Radissons and had to actually get additional staff to support the process. Since then, the response has continued to be a very, very good one. As we are rolling out parts of the country now and having our health centers get involved, again, we're still seeing a certain hesitancy, or we started to see a certain hesitancy, so that's what I should say. But as expected, as the education session continues, as people begin to be warmed up to the idea, as people begin to see that, you know, others have taken the vaccine and nothing significant has happened and they are well, then the confidence is building and we are seeing more and more people coming, and that is encouraging. I am not at all satisfied of the amount, because I would, as a physician and a public health professional, I will always want to see more and more people come. So, you know, I'm hoping that this education session that we're doing now is one of those. I would encourage others to come on board and get it done, because the quicker we can get to that magic number is the quicker for us to get our lives back to normal.
From some of the conversations I've had, some people are waiting for other brands. Is brand the right word, by the way? Brands of the vaccine? Brand is a word?
You could probably say brand, but not just brand, it's technology too.
Okay. All right. Brands and technology.
Because that is the real crux of the matter, you know what I mean? The AstraZeneca vaccine that we're using, the technology of the vaccine is not new. It's an old technology. The only thing that is new about the AstraZeneca vaccine is the virus itself. Nothing else is new. And so we trust that technology because it's been around for a while. We've used it before and we have no issues with it. But the type of technology that is used for the Pfizer, for example, and the Johnson & Johnson's is different. Johnson & Johnson is probably, again, not very, very new. The Pfizer is really the new one where you actually is the RNA type vaccine. Our region is not going to close ourselves to one type of vaccine because as people differ, societies differ. You might never know. One person might be able to respond to a vaccine, one way may not get, and that another set of person might respond in a better way. So I think the safest thing to do is to open to all and see which is the best for us, because the point is we really want to get our people vaccinated in the region, not just Grenada. So I don't think our public health agencies will only use one. But I must also say that it is not just up to countries to select which vaccine they want. We must also understand that the richer countries are doing the unethical thing, which is they're holding vaccines. And in a lot of instances are preventing it from being exported to poorer developing countries like us. So that is also another factor which would determine what type of vaccines we get used here in our region.
I've asked this question, I believe it was of the minister, in terms of if I can mix the brands. A first dose with AstraZeneca and a second dose with Pfizer. Anyhow, I want to mix it. But can I mix? And I think his advice was that it's not advised. That's what his response was. But can I mix, or can I get double the 2 doses of all the vaccines? Let's say I want to make sure I'm protected. Can I get 2 doses of AstraZeneca, 2 of Pfizer when it comes, 2 of Moderna, 2 of Johnson & Johnson, 2 of the Cuban one? I just want to make sure I'm protected. Is that a possibility? I want to know so I know how to set up myself.
Put up yourself as a research person. And by all means,
guinea pig. You want to make me guinea pig?
I'm telling you, because I mean, as a matter of fact, this is not so far-fetched, I have to study the data, but I think there was a study that was commissioned in England, I believe, or some part of Europe, that looked at double dose with AstraZeneca and Pfizer. I just have to confirm that actually is the case, with one brand being the first dose and the other brand being the second dose. But it is something that has been thought about in the scientific community before.
A lot of people as well are waiting on the vaccine from Cuba. I think that's where a lot of people have placed their trust. Do we have any information, updates as to how far they've gotten with the vaccine, how soon we may be able to get it to administer it here for the people who may want it?
We're still waiting. We're still waiting on that data and waiting on that conversation. But I agree with you. There are some people who believe that some countries don't do things for profit, so to speak. And they believe if it's not done and it's done in the public health interest, they have more faith in it. And I have no problems with persons taking that position, because as a public health provider, my goal and job is to keep people healthy and safe, and not necessarily depend on the business part of things, although I know that the business part is actually necessary as well.
Now let's talk about the education side of the vaccine program. That's something that a lot of people have been saying, that the ministry needs to continue to, or try more to educate members of the public on the vaccine, maybe the side effects, which ones to use, and just divulge information. In the back of my head, I was thinking, we can do our own research, but I accept now that not everybody wants to, and 2 has the ability to, or the means to do that. What plans does the ministry have to further educate the public as to not just come and get the vaccine, but more information that they need? What's in the vaccine, the side effects I can expect, and so on and so forth? We
are approaching this on multiple fronts. And we're trying to remember the early days of our COVID response when we also had a similar situation where people wanted a lot more information because we had to battle the misinformation out there in social media. It seems as though we come full circle again. So we have done a number of things. We have upgraded our health promotion department to start pushing more of that sort of education. Our PR program has also taken up, sort of increased the amount of PR that we're doing. And I think over the next few days, you're going to start hearing more of these things around town, loudspeakers around the city, speaking to people about it. We're increasing that sort of a one-on-one educational session that we used to do in the early days of COVID. As I indicated myself, I have a couple that is ongoing. We have engaged a company to assist us with a lot of the social media aspect of the vaccination, preparing information for many people as possible. And so maybe this is an opportunity here for persons who are listening to call us in and get your congregations or your institutions and call us in to do presentations to you, just as we did when in the early days of COVID, when many of you asked us to come into your places to help. We want to do that again today. So you're going to see a lot more of those, both in mainstream media, social media, radio, TV. A lot of that is going to be increasing as the days go by, because as you rightly said, there is a thirst for information out there. And I agree, not many people have the means to be able to do so. And so, we recognize that this is what we have to do.
Have you had, or the ministry has, any feedback from members of the public about their greatest concerns from COVID, the vaccine, anything going forward? What's some of the feedback the ministry has been getting, if any?
I think the greatest concern has been long-term effects. I've been hearing that a lot, long-term effects. A lot of people are able to manage the short-term headaches and little body aches and pain and the and the fatigue that is felt after taking a vaccine. But many people are concerned about the long-term effects, and rightfully so. The problem is, however, that question cannot be answered because it's a new vaccine. And when I compare that and I say, well, are you ever concerned about the long-term effects of, let's say, the tetanus vaccine or the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine that we've all taken as children? And the answer would be, well, it has been around for a long time. So many years, people are able to see and answer those questions as to what the long-term effects is. This is a very genuine concern because you cannot, the world is waiting to see what the effects of the vaccine is going to be. My response to this, however, is to say to them, remember, the technology of the vaccine is an old technology. The only thing that is new about it is the virus itself. So in other words, if there was significant long-term untoward effects of a vaccine of that nature, we would have already known because the technology is not a new technology. Now, if you want to tell me that you want to know what the long-term effect of the Pfizer vaccine is, then I will put my hands up in the air and say, I agree, I surrender, we need to see, because that vaccine is new technology that we have never seen before. So I would be much more cautious about using something that we know nothing about than to use something that we already have the information for. One reason why the AstraZeneca vaccine was able to develop so quickly, again, is because the components of it was already there. We just needed to take it, put it together, get the coding for the protein spikes of the COVID virus, put that information into the vaccine, and you have a vaccine. So I am really not too concerned and worried, maybe is a better word, worried about the long-term effects because the technology has been with us for a while.
What was the AstraZeneca vaccine used for in the past? Since COVID is a new virus it's tackling, what else was it used for? Well,
remember, AstraZeneca is a brand. And so they can be used to create and produce any of the vaccines due to, trading rights, patenting, those issues that people have. But all of the vaccines that we used in the past, AstraZeneca have versions of them. The measles, mumps, rubella, the tetanus, the, pneumococcal vaccine, influenza vaccine, hepatitis vaccine, Neisseria gonorrhea vaccine that is used for meningitis and so on. these companies are capable of producing these vaccines. So it is, again, they have experience on their side. They have the historical memory and all the technologies over the years. So this is one of the reasons why the region felt comfortable that we can use this vaccine on that company.
All right, let's take a break and then come back and field the questions that have already started to come in for Dr. Martin. This is To The Point on Classic and GBN. We'll be right back after this brief break.
We understand it can be hard getting from the bus terminal to the Kirani James Athletic Stadium just to get your fresh fruits and veggies. But guess what? Your troubles are over. Enjoy a free bus shuttle from the bus terminal to the temporary market at the Kirani James Stadium
every Friday and Saturday until the end of March.
Let us buy local, eat local, and support our local market vendors.
Fresh from victories in the T20 and ODI series, the West Indies, under the captaincy of Craig Brathwaite, now turn their attention to the two-match test series. It's international cricket, West Indies versus Sri Lanka. First test, March 21st to the 25th, and the second, March 29th to April 2nd. It's cricket, lovely cricket, live on Classic 105.5 and 105.9. The test series, West Indies versus Sri Lanka, is sponsored by Grenada Electricity Services Limited, Spice Isle Imaging Center, and Republic Bank.
Greetings, this is Eugene Gattuso, and I'm inviting you to join me every Saturday morning from 10 to 12 on K105 starting March 20th as we bring you the brand new program Grenada's Music to the World. We'll be featuring music from all genres by Grenadian artists at home and abroad. If you're a Grenadian artist and would like to get your music featured on the program, please send it to grenadasmusictotheworld@gmail.com. Celebrating our own Saturday mornings 10 to 12 Classic Radio beginning March 20th. See you then.
Friendly faces, sweet exotic fruits, fresh veggies, local spices. Just what you find when exploring our bustling Grenadian markets on Fridays and Saturdays. That is why GBN, Maggie, and Just Cool Media have teamed up with the Ministry of Works to bring you Maggie Market Vibes. Meet the people that feed us, clothe us, and keep the economy going. Plus, get your Maggie seasonings and other products weekly at the best prices. Maggie Market Vibes, live from markets across the island, Saturdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on GBN television and social media platforms. Maggie Market Vibes. Your Saturdays are about to be turned up.
Welcome back to The Point, speaking with Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Francis Martin. It's at this point in the program we're going to invite our viewers and listeners who may have comments, questions, queries, concerns for the doc. Landline number 435-2041. That's also the WhatsApp number. Please, only written messages on WhatsApp. And you can also ask your comments and post your questions, post your comments and concerns on the GBN Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page and the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel. Let's go to our first caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to you, and have a good and good morning to the doc. Let me ask this question: if the if the vaccine is to aid people in developing immunity, if one is not meeting the nutritional needs, would the vaccine be effective? And if that being so, wouldn't it be equally important for one to be pushing the ability of people meeting their nutritional need in order to stay healthy? Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Doc?
Thank you. And first of all, I want to give a shout out to my staff. I believe my Ministry of Health staff, wherever you are, my support. I was just told that my face looks a little fat on TV. I don't know. So my beloved staff is listening to the program. And the caller makes a very, very important point. for one's immune system to function effectively, his nutrition must be up to par. And in particular, his protein nutrition, because the antibodies that are produced are actually protein molecules. And so it's important that his nutrition be up to speed. However, a well-functioning immune system is great, but I don't want people to go away thinking that, listen, you only need a good functioning immune system to be able to fight off all kinds of diseases. If that was the case, then, we probably won't need, we probably would need all of these vaccines and all of what we see. But the reality of what we're facing here is that our immune system does need help. A disease is something that is a reality for us, and we have to deal with that situation. As a matter of fact, for the caller, if you took a vaccine and your immune system is in a very poor condition, for example, if you have a severe immune suppression, then it makes it difficult for the body to create and make those necessary antibodies so that you can fight off the disease later on. So in other words, they both work hand in hand to assist each other in protecting your body from the disease.
A question on the YouTube channel. Since the doc knows so much about the vaccine, I want to know when doctors in Grenada are planning on making their own vaccines.
So for the caller, if you can support us with the finance, the technology, our doctors here would be more than willing to start the process of making our own vaccine. But fortunately, we have companies that have years of experience with this, and so we depend on them for support.
Let me go to WhatsApp. Somebody is asking, is there any connection with allergies from shellfish and this particular vaccine? And if I take the vaccine and have an allergic reaction, is there remedial courses available at the vaccination site?
Oh, that's an excellent question. The first answer is, from the research, we do not see a correlation between allergy to shellfish and the vaccine. So that is fine. The second answer to the question is yes. All our nurses are acutely aware of what allergic reactions can happen from the taking of vaccines. And so on site, there would be antihistamines and steroids that are there that is necessary for you in the event that one develops an allergic reaction to a vaccine. I must add here, however, that allergic reactions to vaccine is rare. And in the event when if it does happen, the treatment and recourse has always been a very successful one. And so we expect this to be as successful as in the past.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Doctor, one question I want to ask you. I heard a radio host alluded to that the vaccine we have here could be a second-hand vaccine to the vaccine in Europe, because while we are a third world country and we poor, we are begging, so they give us any kind of vaccine. I want to make it public, reassure the public that our vaccine is safe and is ready to take, and I want the head of the embassy to urge his supporters to go there and take the vaccine, because they're also saying that NMP people are taking the vaccine, and when they're dead, you go have less NMP in the country. So I don't want to get involved in the politics, but sometimes, you believe in a third world country, our people need to be educated, so, by people that who have sense, So I want to just, on the vaccine, a little bit.
Thank you very much. Doc?
The caller is speaking to issues of conspiracy that have always been around from the beginning of time anyway. But these companies and the technology that is used for these companies are standardized. And not just standardized, but there are regulatory bodies that ensure that the vaccine that is made is of a certain standard and a certain efficacy. And this is borne out through the 4 phases of research that is done on those vaccines. When those research is being done and the technology is put together, it is not done with third world countries in mind or levels of countries in mind. It is done as a technology, as a vaccine, and to be distributed. On the other hand, developing countries like us use our original institutions like PAHO and CARPHA to be able to do due diligence on our behalf because of the lack of the technology here in Grenada in particular. And in the AstraZeneca vaccine, in this particular case, we ensured that it is the vaccine that is created, and I have no information at all that it was done in any second-hand way for developing countries like ours. I just do not have that information at all, and I don't know where that is coming from.
WhatsApp question: why not err on the side of caution like other countries that temporarily suspended the process of the vaccine? We have nothing to lose since we are not plagued with a high number of cases and deaths. 100,000 can wipe out our entire population in a questionable decision.
I understand the concern of this caller, but as a scientist, a physician, and a public health professional, I feel safe enough to continue as we are going. I believe in the research that has been conducted into the events that surrounding what occurred in Europe. We're up to date with it. We're looking at it every day, but I am sufficiently satisfied that the direction that we're going is safe enough for us to continue.
Let me go back 4 lines. 3, 2, 1. Okay, somebody on Facebook, the comment is more or less saying we as in, well, I guess Grenadians, people, are being used as testing agents for the vaccines.
That caller is uninformed. That caller knows not of what the person that he or she speaks. That caller is unaware of the process that goes through in the development of a vaccine. The caller does not know that millions and millions of people have already been used in research across the world for this vaccine. The caller doesn't understand that no one has been using as guinea pigs. In other words, if he or she wants to use the word guinea pig, it should have been used on the millions of people who were used in the past in the other countries for researching the vaccine to ensure that it is safe enough for people like us to use it. So we are not being used as guinea pig. The caller needs to be aware of that.
All right. Good morning, caller.
Yes, it is a Welsh greetings and greetings to the doctor. You know, I really do admire listening to this chap. I told him it fire and so on, I'll tell him again. He's a very good teacher as opposed to some of the others. But listen to this, doc. I hear these comments coming from some of my people. I ask myself what has really happened to the education system in this here country. How some of us can be so doggone backward, I do not know. Let me go on to say this. I am a conspiracy theorist, but my theories are based on facts. I criticize based on facts. Other than that, I analyze from all levels. I try my best as critical as possible to make my decisions, and I do make informed decisions. I decided to take the vaccine because I have a major problem, which I cannot afford to get, where I cannot afford to get infected by the thing is right in my nasal passages. Whatever tools I can get to protect myself, I took it. But doctor, hear this. I've heard comments coming from all angles about nausea, burning of the point of injection, body pains, and whatnot and what and what. I have never suffered. There's how many days? 12 days, going for 13 days. I touched the point the evening of the vaccination, and I couldn't even feel it. I have had absolutely no contraindications or anything of the sort. Doctor, this is the curious question. It is not a conspiracy, nor is it a spread fear thing. But in any way would be delivering duds, I mean placebos, something of the sort like that, because I suffered nothing. I feel as fit as a fiddle still. Kindly advise us on that, Doc. Thank you very much, and have a nice day. Will you?
Thank you, Citizen
This
Ruler.
is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. Because the thing is, many persons have also experienced absolutely no symptoms at all, while others have a more prolonged body aches and pains more than 48 hours. So the answer to this is, it was not a placebo that you got. You actually got the virus, the vaccine, sorry, my bad. However, what we're experiencing here is what we always knew will happen. There is a continuum of side effects that people may have, and the continuum goes from no side effect at all to very serious side effect. So many people might be in the middle where they have just a slight headache and a slight fever. And there are going to be some as successful as the caller a while ago who will have absolutely no symptoms at all. And then, of course, others going to have it a bit longer period of time. My mother, for example, the day when she was about to do it, somebody called her and told her something about someone dying, whatever it is. And she called me. And I say, Mom, well, if 10 million people around the world live because of the virus and one person died, okay, so anyhow, she laughed at it. She went to take it. And just as the caller a while ago, my mother had absolutely no symptom at all. Next day, she got up and made breakfast as normal. So, this is what happens. It's not a placebo. It's just that's the normal expectations from a vaccine.
Somebody on WhatsApp, what if I took the first vaccine and in the process, or the first dose, and in the process awaiting the second dose, decided not to take the other because of information by the European countries and their concerns? What would happen? And have you taken the vaccine, Doc?
Yes, I have taken the vaccine. I was among the first set of people that have taken the vaccine. And the next day I went to work as normal. I felt a little tired. By 2:00, I had to sit down and watch TV, which is something I do not do. But I actually found myself sitting and watch TV around 2:00 that afternoon because I felt a bit tired. So yes, I took the vaccine. As to whether or not the person can stop the second dose, anybody can stop the second dose. We believe, however, that the second dose at around 12 weeks, which is 3 months, gives you the maximum antibody production. But having taken the first dose, you will have some level of antibody protection. As to how long you're going to have the protection for, we really don't know yet because the science is still developing. But you will get some level of protection, so the caller needs not worry. I would encourage the caller, however, to really try and take the second dose.
That's the next thing. How long, if I get the 2 doses, how long would the vaccine last? Do I have to take another 2 doses in, let's say, 10 years, or would it last me my entire lifetime?
That's a very serious, significant question. And that question is currently being asked now in the scientific community. The answer is we don't know it yet because it's new. So the scientific community is looking to see how long immunity will last, because remember, it's a flu virus, a cold virus. Coronavirus is a cold virus. And you know as well as I do that people get the cold over and over and over. So there is a possibility that the human body may get the coronavirus again. We don't know. It may be a situation where it may be a flu virus. The flu vaccine is given every year. You know that, right? And that is because the influenza virus changes from time to time, but the technology is the same. So every year you've known to get your quote-unquote flu vaccine. It may be that corona might be one of those where you may now have to get your quote-unquote yearly corona vaccine. We don't know. I am hoping, however, that the immunity is long-lasting so that we don't have to take it every year. Because I myself, I don't like injections. The minute I was laughing at me when I was taking my shot, I didn't enjoy that.
Amen. I really hope it's not a regular thing. I have a fear of needles, so 2 doses is already a tough one. Let's hope. Fingers crossed. As problems could take me. Another WhatsApp question. Is Grenada considering any new protocols for people wishing to come to Grenada who have already been fully vaccinated?
Oh, yes, we are considering it, but our protocols remains the same for now because we need the science to support our decision. We expect in the scientific community that the vaccine will cause a rapid reaction in persons who got infected with the virus. We expect that the vaccine will cause the immune system to be so aggressive that it's going to kill the virus within a couple hours or so, for want of a better, before the information comes out. And that if that is the case, and if the research shows that that is exactly what happens, then you're going to see that the protocols in countries are going to change drastically. And one of the protocols that I'm really hoping could be changed quickly is that of wearing of the mask. And secondly, that of quarantine. So we're really sitting at the edge of our chairs, waiting for the science to come in to tell us how aggressive the response is going to be if you take your vaccine, so that countries can now adjust their protocols.
Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning. Doc, when you talk about, the person said about they're trying to use them as guinea pigs, right? I wanted to tell the nation how much people that took the vaccine around the world already. Much millions of people. In America alone, I think there are 140 million people take the vaccine already. So this is not a joke. People think this is a joke, you know. And give them the data, because you see, a lot of them, as I say, they listen to people that don't already have sense. And they need to listen to the scientists, listen to the doctors, you know, and get the sense from that. Not people on the street that just say things in their mouth, you know. So the data is there, because remember, there's a data. Before we release the vaccine, they must have data. All right? The data is there. The testing have been done over and over. So the vaccine is safe. You know, in every new vaccine, any new medication that come out, sometimes you have side effects, sometimes somebody might die from it. Even on the television, when you look at television, they are advertising your drug. They will tell you that you have side effect, and look what might happen. Basically, my must seek a doctor's advice or whatever. You know, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Just as simple as that, you know.
Right. I mean, the amount of millions of people around the world that have taken this vaccine already. I mean, hundreds of millions. So, I mean, I don't know.
Well, according to the ministry's news release on Monday, the 15th, yes, Monday, vaccines administered so far 304,389,323, and that was as of Monday, 2 days ago, so it's more than that by now. There was a YouTube question. Doctor, we don't need coronavirus vaccine in Grenada. We have all local spices and herbs that are better than the vaccine with no side effects. For example, one bush named Zebapic is very good. That's what I'm taking right now. So the people who feel they can, let's say, drink bush to kill the virus.
Yeah.
Protect against the virus.
I mean, my mother used to give me the Zebapic too. No, but she gave me the Zebapic, but she ensured that I got my vaccine as a child because she understands. I've heard this over and over, similar to me hearing that herbs can be used to bring down your blood pressure and your diabetes and so on. And I would say to people, I have no problems with us using our local herbs or local, treatments that we have, but we all have to be sensible about what is really going on. I have seen many people who depend on bush for their blood pressure only to end up with a stroke. People with diabetes end up with kidney failures because they're depending on the bush. I mean, let me tell you, I believe God put the bush here for a reason, but God also gives us the knowledge and so that we can study. And a lot of what we do as scientists is based on what happens in nature anyway. We have taken those ideas from nature anyway. I mean, one has to recall sometimes the origin of these vaccines. Remember, our forefathers in Africa used the idea of vaccination. As a matter of fact, there's a nice story about one of the slave plantations in the United States where a slave remembered what his foreparents did by taking molecules or taking small substances from someone with a disease and give it to someone without the disease to prevent that healthy person from getting the disease. This has its origin in our forefathers in Africa. So vaccination is not a new thing to the Black population. That is what was used to stop smallpox. It was the cowpox that was used to create immunity to prevent the world from having an issue with smallpox. So that is something that is already there. I understand the need for us to use our herbs. And in this particular instance, for this particular caller, the herbs is going to assist his immune system with the vaccine when he takes the vaccine.
Let me go back by WhatsApp. WhatsApp has a lot of questions. Actually, no, let me go back to YouTube. Facebook. Somebody's asking, do you know the total number of people in Carriacou and PT Martinique that have been vaccinated so far with the first dose?
I believe in excess of 500 plus.
WhatsApp, are persons required to report any symptoms of illness after taking the vaccine, and up to what duration of time?
Oh, yes. We do have a SAVI mechanism here, or a system set up to document post-vaccination symptoms. So if anyone feels that their symptoms could be attributed to the vaccines, the first thing they do, they can contact their area health facility, their nurse preferably, and she's going to take them through the process of documentation and ensuring that the person gets the adequate follow-up.
Back to the phone lines. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, Blossom. Good morning to you, Doc. How are you doing?
We're good.
Doc, you have certain medication that certain people's body react to. for instance, for me, penicillin do me a great bad deal. Could you tell me if any one of the vaccine that we expect to take here, we taking here, if you have anything, any small portion of what of penicillin in it? Because I know they use many things to make up the vaccine, so I would like to know before I even go and take it, because trust me, it's against me.
Thank you, caller. No?
I hope I heard everything that she said well.
She wants to know if the vaccine has insulin in it, if insulin is part of the ingredients, the makeup of the vaccine, because she has bad reactions to insulin.
All right, okay. Well, no, this particular vaccine does not have, as a matter of fact, insulin is not used as a component in vaccines. Vaccines are created in different media. For example, the influenza vaccine is created in eggs. You may have horse serum that is used in some vaccines as well. But no insulin or insulin component is associated with this vaccine and any other vaccines as far as I'm aware.
WhatsApp, I went to a medical station to get the vaccine, but was told that they need to have a certain number of people to start to administer. Understandably so. My suggestion is that in order to meet that threshold number, there should be a designated day of the week when the vaccine will be available at the medical station. So just explain why there needs to be a certain number for the people who may be unaware.
The reason is because the vials come in doses of 10. So once you open a vial, there is 10 doses in there. And recall, this is time sensitive. It has to be used within a certain period of time because it has to be kept at a certain temperature. So in order not to waste doses, the nurse will have to make a decision to get 10 before she can open a vial. So maybe that's a good idea as we were talking about this now. Persons who intends to go for a vaccine, they probably should take along with them some persons. And if you're smart, you're going to take 9 people with you to ensure that when you get there, you guys are going to get it.
Or maybe we can even set it up where they're by appointments to ensure that...
That's possible too, yes.
So maybe that's something we can look
But I
into.
think the idea of 1 day per week, I know my colleagues are listening who are working on the National Rollout Program, and I believe if there is any virtue in this, I think they're going to do it.
All right. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, just called to say that, since this COVID start, I'm hearing so much things about this vaccine. Mark of the beast, they're putting a SIM card in you, they're tracking you. It's all kind of things they're doing to you. But, I went and get the vaccine and I never had no problem. Thanks to the Minister of Health and the doctors and whoever team, they are doing such a good job. And I went and I never had any problem. I came back home. I wasn't sick. My arm wasn't hurting. Everything was okay. I just want to appreciate the minister team and the Minister of Health, and the doctors. Appreciate you all for doing a wonderful job. And people need to see that this vaccine is safe, because remember, when you take the vaccine and you're protecting yourself and your family, you have a family to go home to, and you're protecting your friends. It's not just only you. And I can't understand why people, human beings like we just going around and saying so much wrong things and discouraging other people not to go and take the vaccine. I mean, come on, how could they do that? Even some of the churches are telling the members about the mark of the beast and all these things. And there's no way I've ever heard, I just do a lot of research, no way I've ever heard that a vaccine causing clot blood in people's body.
Okay.
So thank you very much. So, Doc, you're all doing a good job. Keep it up.
Thank you very much, caller. Doc?
Thank you.
Some concern on Facebook. Can someone with no thyroid gland safely take the vaccine?
The answer is yes. I do understand the person with no thyroid gland may have had a hormonal problem leading to the thyroid being overactive or underactive or overgrowth, so to speak. If the person's thyroid gland has been removed, I believe that their doctor would have tested their thyroid hormone itself and put them on thyroid replacement hormone or calcium replacement therapy if their thyroid was removed. And once the doctor has done that, that means the person's hormonal system will be intact and the hormonal axis will be intact. So that person is now safe to take the vaccine because I hope that they are on actual proper thyroid replacement therapy.
WhatsApp, are you aware that the vaccine companies cannot be held liable for vaccine damage that arise as a result of the use of the vaccine? If so, would you still trust it when no legal actions can be taken against them since they have been given immunity from prosecution?
Well, I mean, again, that person is speaking out of a certain level of ignorance, so to speak. There is no way that a vaccine can cause widespread destruction to people and no one is held accountable for it. I mean, I think in this instance, we have to avoid persons from overly, bogging down a system from frivolous issues like a headache or a body ache or something like that. These protections are there to avoid that type of behavior because, people are there. You take a vaccine and suddenly your toenail starts to hurt you and all of a sudden you believe it's the vaccine that's causing it. And then you might want to have injunctions and take them to court and then you have to stop the vaccination program because of those frivolous things. That's what these protections are there for. It is not for serious problems to humanity. People are going to be held accountable and liable for it.
All right, we are almost out of time. There are a lot of questions on the on WhatsApp. Let me just close my eye and press one. Hold on. Somebody says, why is it that companies... No, that was the last question we just asked. There was another one about this one. Why are some workplaces demanding that the workers take the vaccine or they will be out of a job? Is that right?
This is an ethical matter, but it's also a matter that one needs to think of seriously. Because if I'm an employer, right, and I know that a COVID outbreak in my facility can cause me to shut down my business, can cause me to go out of business, can bankrupt me, then I have to make a decision, how do I keep my business going? This is a serious conversation that has to happen between employers and employees. Labor unions and other institutions need to get on board with this. Now, sitting in a nice office here, our office don't have to shut down if someone comes up with COVID in my office. So I may not be able to be in a position to say to my workers, listen, I need you to take this vaccine. But workers, it cannot be a selfish situation. You as a worker in an institution, you yourself have to take the success of your company to heart as well and do what is best to ensure that your company succeeds. Because if your company succeeds, you succeed in the process. So it's a conversation that must happen between employers and employees, and good judgments and sensible and decision must be taken in those instances.
As we close this morning, Doc, any final thoughts? I know the ministry is also hosting post-cabinet briefing in just about 5 minutes. Any final words, parting words?
Final words are, as I've always done since the beginning of COVID, I encourage everyone to eat well, sleep well, drink lots of fluid, eat bright colored foods so that your immune system will be in the best state to protect you from COVID. We now are able to see a small light at the end of the tunnel because of the vaccine. I do hope that most people are going to take the vaccine and in so doing, protect themselves and their loved ones so that we can return to some level of normalcy. But as one caller said earlier, the best protection is an adequate and really robust nutritional system or nutritional status of your body by eating well, making sure you have good proteins like your fish protein and your egg protein to help your body to produce the adequate antibodies for the vaccine when you take the vaccine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Martin. Continue doing what you're doing and have yourself a safe day.
Thank you.
All right. That was the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Francis Martin. WhatsAppers, I know there are still a lot of questions that I haven't gotten to, but in the interest of time, we need to end the program here. The ministry is also hosting post-cabinet briefing from 10 a.m. because there was no post-cab yesterday because of the funeral of the late Elvin Nimrod. Post-cabinet briefing is being held this morning from 10 a.m. So maybe most of your questions that still left unasked will be answered during post-cab. Let's see what happens. Thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. Have yourself a safe and productive Wednesday. Continue to be COVID-19 smart. The Mid-Morning Buzz is up next. I'll be back tomorrow morning, God willing. Bye-bye, everybody.